The next section is the full width header, which contains the quote about the Wellness Center. The hamburger menu will show that. In the full width header module settings page, you will see the quote at the top of the page. That's where you would change it if needed. The text color box allows you to choose light or dark text depending on the color of the background. The background of any section can be changed by clicking on the hamburger menu on the green or blue bars on the left-hand side of the section, as I showed you earlier. The background color box gives you a color picker that will allow you to select the color you want. Click Save after making any modifications. The icon that looks like a TV set will allow you to duplicate the contents of any section, row, or module in the page. The X's will delete that specific section, row, or module, as I showed you earlier. The section below the header contains a text module, and the text is the call now to schedule text. This text appears in a text editing box, and now would be a good time to discuss how that box works. Most basic are minor text changes. Simply click on a word or words you want to modify, and then change them. You can also make a number of formatting changes using pull-down menus in the rows of icons at the top of the page. For instance, to bold a word, click on the B icon. Same for the italic icon. Use the I to italicize. Do it again to turn it off. The highlighted text can be aligned to the left side, centered, or aligned to the right. Text can also be aligned justified, which means aligned both left and right, by pulling down the formats and then alignment and justify. I should note that at this time the text edit box has two flavors: visual, which shows the text how it will look on the page, and text, which shows the text with HTML formattings. If you aren't familiar with HTML, it would be best to ignore the text option. The module below the call to schedule text is another text module. And this one contains the copy about the wellness family practice. This is the most comprehensive batch of copy yet. The funny looking X just makes the edit box a lot larger in the browser window. Like so. Fills it up. Click it again to get back to normal. If you make a mistake, the left pointing arrow will undo what you did. The right pointing arrow will redo what you undid. The icon that looks like an Indian blanket will toggle the icon to show more editing icons or less icons. Watch the two rows. The next icon is a subscript, and the one next to it is a superscript icon. The icon that looks like a hyphen is the horizontal rule icon. You select a spot where you want the rule to be. I want it over the top of the comprehensive services including, so I'll put a mark there. Click on the horizontal line, and there it is, your horizontal rule across the page. I'm going to undo that. The icon that looks like a plus sign in a little canoe is the non-breaking space. That's this one right here, non-breaking space. Notice there are tooltips underneath the cursor that help you explain what each one of these icons are, and it would be a good thing for you to go ahead and click on all these icons and learn them and practice, editing text with these icons and how they operate. As you're making modifications in the text, etc., be sure to frequently hit the preview changes in the upper hand portion of the edit page so you can see your work as it progresses. And that's right here. So you click on your preview changes, and this will show you what you've done to your site. The next section to cover is the text block to the right of the block we talked about earlier, right here. This is the section that contains the contact information for the Wellness Family Practice. It includes the company name, address, some phone numbers and fax numbers, and the hour of operations, which is down here. Should you want to make changes in this box, carefully highlight the word or words and then change only those that you want to change or modify or delete. That way you won't risk messing up the paragraph layout, because there is some coding in there that's a little different than the other pages we talked about. So you want to be careful. If you want to change this word to mobile instead of phone, you would highlight it, type in mobile instead, but don't be too willy-nilly about, like any spaces over here beyond the phone, because it could mess up the paragraph. Below that module is the section for the 3 photos of the staff members. In the first row of the section is the headline text for the photos. Notice that below the text module are 3 modules side by side for the images and label texts. I set up the headline text module above them to be one long module, so the headline would span the 3 photos. In the section below the headline, we see the section containing the 3 image modules. Let's look at the first one. Click on the hamburger icon, and you get the image module settings page. By now, a lot of this should start looking familiar, and you should realize how easy it is to make modifications. I would like to suggest that you experiment with changes, etc. on the Home Page 2 page, which I'll leave in the files for now, and I set it up to make this tutorial. You won't hurt anything if you mess up, and you will learn a lot. The first item on the thing is the image URL box. If there is text here, it means that the information was loaded when the image was placed on the page originally. The URL is geek speak for the location of the image in the WordPress files. Below the URL box is a preview window that shows the image itself. Obviously, this area will be blank if no image has been loaded yet. I'll discuss the loading processes in just a few seconds. Below the image preview is the image alternate text box. This is where you place text to aid sight-impaired visitors using text readers to access the website. This is important because it helps your web usability score in making your site more accessible to handicapped visitors who may need to have a voice reader describe the page to them. I chose to enter the label for the image here. Skip the image title box. Leave the Lightbox Don't Open in Lightbox section as it is. To open in Lightbox would cause the image to open in its own page with a black background, which is not what we want. To remove an image already posted, simply go up to the image URL box and delete the text there. Now you'll have essentially the same look as if there were no image in the module to begin with, except the image alternative text will be filled in right here. If you want to post a different photo after deleting the original one, click on the Upload an Image button. This will take you to the media library, which contains all of the photos currently being used on the website. To upload an image, click on the Upload Files. We did this earlier. Drag the image you want to place instead of the one that was there before that you deleted. And you'll notice we have that familiar box that has the name of the image, the date, file size, the dimensions of the image, whether you can edit it or delete it permanently. It has the URL that tells us where in the file system the image is located. And it has a title called Elder Care too. Alternate text is the same, so we'll highlight that. Put it in there. Only I'm going to delete the 2 because that's something I did just for special coding. Once I have my problems corrected, I hit Set as Image. And now it appears in the image module settings. Note that the max file size for images when you upload it using the method I just showed you is 25 megabytes. Web images are usually either JPEGs or GIFs and are 72 pixels per inch and about 600 to 900 pixels high, so they shouldn't represent a problem with loading. If that last sentence was Greek to you, then be sure to get someone familiar with image editing for the internet to handle processing the images. Or you can send the photos to me by email. I have a large bandwidth on my mailbox and I can process them and get them back to you without any problems. Now let's explore an alternate way to load images onto your page, and that's to use the Media Library tab. So I'm going to remove the photo I just put in there, and it says Upload an Image. And now we'll stay with this Media Library tab because this has images that we've used in the site earlier. And right here we have the picture that should be in there. We'll click on it. We get that familiar box again with all the form areas we filled out already. Get rid of that title. And we'll click Set as Image. And then now we're back where we should be. So I'll click Save. And we can preview our changes just to see how they look. And yep, there we have all three people where they're supposed to be. Below the three image modules are three text modules, and by now you should know how to work with them, and it should be fairly self-explanatory. I'll just show you the first one that comes up. That's Katie Desar, MD. And now I'd like to show you what we call a ligne. In New Orleans, if you eat dinner in a restaurant there, every now and then they'll bring out a dish that you don't expect to get, like a dessert or maybe another hors d'oeuvre or something like that. And it's a way to build customer relations. So I've provided a ligne with the Wellness Family Practice site. Now watch, I'm going to move the side of the page in the browser inward. This will simulate what it is that I'm trying to talk about. Notice as I move the side of the page in, at some point it's going to click, and then things get smaller. That would be what the page would look like if it were opened in a tablet, like an iPad. Going a little further, now we're starting to get into smaller tablets. A little smaller, now we have what's the smartphones, like an iPod or Android. This is what the Family Practice site would look like. Notice now we have like a hamburger menu to give you the pull-down menu that we had in the upper right-hand corner, the patient portal login. So continue moving to the left, and it'll click one more time, and now finally we get what it would look like if you had one of those old cell phones. I have a track phone, which is, just a very primitive cell phone, and this is what it would look like in my track phone. And I'm just going to run down here and show you how it all compresses, but you get all of the good information about the family practice. Now you get your dedicated team of providers. They lose their little note about who's who, but their notes are in order. So that's my ligne. This is called responsive design. It means it's capable, when you load up the site can determine by reading whatever browser is accessing it what size needs to be presented to the browser. So I recommend that if you have anybody around with a smartphone that you go ahead and give it a try and see how it appears to you. This leaves us with the final job of dealing with the WordPress SEO by Yoast area. We'll skip down now to the meta description box. That's located right here. We want to enter meaningful text that will briefly tell what the site is about. I found a line in the text module that describes the wellness family practice. I selected, it started out with, at Wellness Family Practice, our providers put into practice the essential values of exceptional medical care. I'll place that in the box. Add a period because the sentence was very long, and this first part really summed up what Wellness Family Practice is all about. The meta description area is limited to 156 characters, and it says that once I put in the line that I did put in, that the remaining characters still have 48 characters left for us to add, but we don't need them all. When I add the line in the meta description area, notice that the text in the snippet preview box changes. This is how the home page will look at a Google search result page. We are controlling how Google displays us versus simply allowing Google to pick any text it finds. Below the snippet preview box is the focus keyword box. And since wellness appears so often in the text on the page, I decided it would be a good as any word for keyword, wellness. Notice once I enter it, there's a little section right here where it shows you that the focus keyword was found in the article heading. It says no, but there's a yes for page title, there's a no for page URL, but yes, there's a couple places for content, and yes, it's in the meta description. So we want to get as few no's as possible in that box, and so I think we've got a pretty good way to now allow the search engine sites like Google and Yahoo, Bing, etc. to find our site and read all the text in it and then set it up in their search directories so that when somebody searches on a certain word or phrase, they can find wellness family practice if we use it. Okay, at this point, we're going to be able to publish directly to the internet, and we do that by clicking on this update button, and it will send the page immediately to the internet. And once it's been updated, you can view the page here. You can also view it the normal way by going through the URLs and everything, but this is a quick way to look at it. And then there's our page. After all our corrections, all our activities, looks good. After the update is finished, your changes are on the internet. Congratulations, and this ends the tutorial.